This is the Google 1-month overview reading for the month of March 2024. It's currently January 29, 2024, 1:42 p.m. Eastern Time. Google at the time of this reading, $153.97. As of today, it's actually achieved one of the predictions that we made in 2023 for 2024, where we said that Google would be above $150 USD in 2024. And you can see right here at the beginning of the year, we've achieved that. The shuffle file that we're about to play for you in the lower left corner was created on January 8, 2024 at 8:12 p.m. Eastern Time. So the overall theme and behavior for Google in March is a notable rally increasing with momentum moving forward in time, and that's on a scale of like a one-year chart. It's crossed with sideways rotation along a key support level on a one-year scale. We rise to meet the nearest critical resistance and then fall back down and continue rotating sideways along that key support. So those two kind of energies are crossed, they're mixed together throughout the month of March. And then behavior around the highest high for the month, we have the prudence card. Prudence card indicates, in the high position, very often it indicates multiple false tops. It's not always the case, but whatever happens around the highest high, it's going to be some sort of tricky chart behavior. So you should be very careful around the highs. Probably it'll make it look like we're going to go higher and then we turn around. Either that or it makes it look like we're going to turn around and we go higher. Something along those lines. Behavior around the lowest low for the month. There's an opportune moment at the low. It'll stand out on like a one-year chart scale, and there should be a significant move. A significant move to the upside out of that low. Now, we're going to get into the day-by-day chart behavior as well as the highs and the lows throughout the month. And then at the very end of the prediction, we'll even get into where the highest of those highs and where the lowest of those lows are. And we'll mark the dates on the calendar. All that in just a moment. The whole purpose of the channel is to transmute some of the competitive energy of the stock market into goodwill. We do that by following the rule of karma for the channel. You go to the resources tab of our website, Tarot for Traders, and 5% of the profits from every profitable trade utilizing this information should be donated forward to one of these charities, or pick a charity of your choosing as long as you're paying 5% forward. And then 5% should be sent back to the channel through one of these links. If you're international, you can use Wise or you can use YouTube Tips. And that leaves you at 90%. Make sure to spend that 90% out of love. As long as you follow those rules, you follow the rule of karma for the channel, the universe considers you an angel investor. It's going to send it back to you tenfold for following through. Blessings to all my angel investors. Let's get back into it. Before we continue, I just want to remind everybody that the timing is usually right on the day, but there are cases where the timing will be off plus or minus a day here or there. If it's anything more than that, it's considered a bad reading, in my opinion, and those don't happen very often, but plus or minus a day here or there. And that's because each card's energy will not line up perfectly with one day of time in some cases. So with that said, you have to give it that plus or minus a day of wiggle room. And in cases where you need to do that, make sure to follow the sequence of events as outlined by the prediction, because that will keep you on track. All right, so coming out of March, looks like there's a pretty significant decline right on the cusp of the 29th, or very early in the day on the 1st. But there should be a pretty sharp decline into this. Looks like it could be a low right here, right on the edge of the month. There's a lot of highs in March for a lot of the other readings that I'm seeing. There's a lot of highs here around the first 3 days of trading. But my sense is that Google is probably doing something a little bit different than everybody else based on these theme cards. In any case, there's price swings there, and there's a day trade opportunity on the 1st that we'll talk about in more detail in the paid version. Actually, there's a day trade opportunity on the 1st, 4th, and 5th. Oh, and the 7th as well. Significant day trade opportunities. And again, we'll talk about that in the paid version. On the 4th, we have a period of volatility that within that period of volatility, there's a sharp drop that stands out in the period of volatility and takes us to a prominent trough on a 1-month scale. On the 5th, we have a period of sideways rotation, taking us into another important trough on the cusp of the like at the end of the day on the 5th. And then out of that prominent trough, there's a big move ending of the period of sideways rotation, right around the cusp of the 5th, 6th, fast sudden move higher, ending that period of sideways rotation. Probably because there's a male leader speaking, something to do with finance, possibly to do with acquisition of land or acquisition of something that's possible, but it has to do with financials and a male leader. But that fast sudden move higher on the cusp of the 5th, 6th, it doesn't last long. That rally's halted on the 6th. Okay, so either we rally from the 5th into the cusp of the 6th, 7th, or there's a rally that ends on the 6th, marked by a sharp decline. Right? If we don't see it there, that sharp decline on the 6th, and we continue to rally, there's a peak right in the morning on the 7th, and that peak, after that peak, we should see a really significant decline. Either way, it might be an extra decline on the 6th, there might not be, but either way, we should see a pretty notable decline on the 7th off of a prominent peak early in the day. Prominent trough and a prominent peak on the 7th, prominent trough on the 8th, and there's also a trade opportunity there. It looks like a swing trade opportunity on the 8th, and a resistance level on a 1-month scale that's highlighted that we've failed to break through many times before. Now, on the 11th, looks like we open higher. There's a prominent peak on a 1-month scale there and a trade opportunity, and we sell off from that prominent peak down to and through support to do a U-shaped reversal below that price level, come back and reuse it as support. And it looks like we're at a trough around the end of the day on the 11th, likely open higher on the 12th, where there's a big rally early in the day on the 12th. Either way, we're bumping along resistance sideways on the 12th, and then another big move to the downside on the 13th, taking us to a prominent trough on a 1-month scale. On the 14th, an improbable opportunity that really will stand out amongst all the other opportunities throughout the month. It looks like it's a pretty mixed day there, but before we go any further, let's take a look at January and see how we're doing. So it looks like we're lining up pretty well for that highest high at the end of the month. We had a lowest low on the 1st, a prominent trough on the 4th, which ended up being on the 5th, and then there was this big move out of it, taking us to a high on the 12th, which we had. Actually, a high on the 5th, high on the 8th, high on the 12th. And then we had this prominent trough here on the 17th. We nailed that prominent trough. And we also noted that in a day trade, or excuse me, in the paid version, we talked about how this was a significant opportunity. The decline here on the 17th was a significant opportunity to open up a long position for either an overnight swing trade, or you could hold it into the highs of the end of the month. So you would have made money if you held it till the following day for that swing trade, right? It's significant. Even if you bought it at the high, you bought a long position at the high on the 17th, you still would have made money if you sold at the low, right? And then if you were ballsy and you held it, you would have held it to either the 23rd, would have made a ton of money, or you would have held it to the 26th, would have made a ton of money, or you would have held it till the 31st, and then yet to be seen, but it really does look pretty darn solid, guys. If you're wondering, this January reading was conducted October 25th, 2023 at 10:25 p.m. Right now, anybody with the paid version, or with access to the paid versions of the Google readings, is able to see all the way up until February right now, guys. It's January 29th, and this March reading will drop. Actually, what am I saying? February. When you're watching this video, it means that anybody with the paid version was able to watch this as early as January 30th, 2024. And guys, I mean, it's invaluable. Look at that trade we talked about. That significant trade. They would have made a ton of money. So that's what we offer you in the paid version. We offer the best trades, the timing of the best trades that we see, what to look for as far as entry and exit on a one-day chart into and out of those trades. We talk about price levels when there's price level information that we're able to extrapolate. We talk about the trades that we see from a multi-year standpoint, a multi-month standpoint, and then obviously from the standpoint of March. And we also talk about the overall performance of Google versus the S&P 500 throughout that same period of March 2024, all in the paid version. Great way to support the channel. You get it here under our services, SO Meta Post. This is on our website, tarotfortraders.com. Early access to our, scroll down to monthly subscription, click here to order. To get the paid version of Google, there's no singular subscription for just Google, so you need to get the all paid, 30 days access to all paid, but it gives you access to all of the ticker symbols and crypto that you see here. It gives you the monthly access to the paid version of all of these. So the best trades that we see for all of these crypto and tickers, as well as Amazon, Google, and Nvidia, for the low price of $250 a month. My God, guys, nobody else anywhere has this information. Only here. Yours truly developed over 20 years. We have a 98% average accuracy, so if you don't trade like a complete noob and bet the house on one trade, you should do pretty well. If you bet the house on one trade, chances are that'll be the time I'm wrong. I am wrong sometimes, guys. 98%, not 100. And with that said, thank you to everybody that supports the channel with this. I know you all by name. Blessings to all my angel investors. Let's get back into it. All right, so on the 18th, we opened higher, and there's a notable decline early in the day. By the end of the day, however, on the 18th, out of the decline, there's a big move from the bottom of a range all the way to the top of a range to reach another prominent peak on a one-month scale. On the 19th, we decline. On the 19th, we decline, and that decline ends with a fast sudden move higher, rallying into a key resistance on the 20th. And from that resistance, we decline with consecutively lower spikes up on the way down. Sideways, somewhere between the 20th and the 21st, there's a prominent trough. And we do sideways rotation along support early in the day, or somewhere towards the end of the day on the 20th or early in the day on the 21st. That sideways rotation ends with a fast sudden move higher, standing out on a one-month scale here on the 21st. And then sideways rotation at a higher price level, taking us into probably like somewhere towards middle to the end of the day on the 21st. I'd be very careful there because there's universal hexagram energy there. So we either have a really sharp drop off of the resistance from the 20th into the 21st, or we have this big move on the 21st out of the drop from the 20th, and then that big move to the upside on the 21st will be followed shortly thereafter, probably on the 21st, by a sharp universal decline. The following day, however, is the 22nd. We have a move higher through key resistance on a multi-day scale. We stay above it briefly, and then we break back down through the same price level shortly thereafter. There's some swing trade opportunities here at the end of the week as well. On the 25th, looks like we open lower, and then there's a lot of price change, taking us to a peak at the end of the day, and or on the 26th. It'll be a near overbought peak, and it'll form after a big move to the upside, possibly even a breakout towards the end of the day on the 25th. It's a near overbought peak on the 26th that we sell off from through multiple support levels. And then on the 27th, there's key resistance that's highlighted. There's key resistance that's highlighted there on a multi-day scale. And it looks like there's some movement to the upside to a prominent peak on a one-month scale, followed by a decline throughout the 27th into a significant trough on the 28th. This may be like a notable bottom. I don't think it's a lowest low for the month, but it doesn't bode well for the following month of April. Sneak preview for April is there's a significant cash out opportunity. I'll talk about what that cash out opportunity is in more detail in the paid version. With that said, my friends, thank you so much for supporting. Oh, and then the highest highs and lowest lows. So as far as highest highs and lowest lows, all right, so it's a tricky one. There's a couple places where there might be a highest high. Now there might be like a highest high thus far here on the 1st, and then a sharp drop. More likely there's a highest high here on the 7th, and most of the readings in March have a peak here in the first 3 days, but this Google reading seems to diverge a bit. So probably a highest high here on the 7th, like 6th, 7th, and or on the 11th. Sorry, highest high for Google in March is going to be here on the 20th, 21st. Yeah, the 20th, 21st is the highest high for Google. And then a lowest low, looks like the lowest low we have is around the 11th, 12th. And then there's probably a lower one in early April. We're going to talk about all that in more detail in the paid version. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. As always, make sure to follow that rule of karma. It's super important to keep this channel going. Blessings to that 3% angel investors that actually follow through on the rule of karma. You are blessed souls. Much appreciation and love goes out to you. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Stay tuned if you got the paid version.